Alongside Aaron Ward and Shane Kelly, I'm Irfaan Gaffar here with the fourth period. And gentlemen, we call this segment Dirty Data. Shane, we'll start with you this time for a change. We'll leave Aaron. I know Aaron wants to talk about this team very much, but we'll start with you and the Boston Bruins and kind of what's the evolution of their team right now? Why are they playing so well?
It's been interesting to see the subtle changes that have taken place since Montgomery took over from Cassidy in the offseason, and how that's kind of played out to let the team be even more successful than they have in the past. And there's a couple themes that I think have come out of that. The first is they've broken up the big three. For years, people have been asking, what can this team do if Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron are on different lines? And for the first time this year, that's really happened, partially due to injury. But I think what we've seen is that with Krejci coming back, they can maintain their level of control. They can maintain their scoring chance dominance and really extend the lineup in a way that they couldn't before. And it makes them harder to game plan against. And the other big thing that's changed, last year they were really a middle of the road team in terms of transitioning the puck out of their own zone. Montgomery has made some changes to how the two wingers deploy in their own zone. They've dropped back closer to the net and they're giving it more point shots, but what it's let them do is be available as an outlet. So now what you're seeing is that they're the best team in the league at transitioning out of their zone. And that helps the D-core, which is down a couple significant pieces or has been. It protects them because it's a lot harder to transition the other way against you if you guys have control of the puck.
I think Boston's been actually my biggest surprise. Like, coming into the summer, you have to pick teams, and I was starting to soft pedal it, kind of couch a little bit and say, there's going to be some teams in the East who are going to struggle to make the playoffs because some teams coming up, Ottawa might be competitive. And I wasn't mentioning Boston because I wasn't truly a believer. I just didn't want to hear it from, basically that fan base. But it's utterly amazing to see what's kind of evolved. I mean, coming into the season thinking Charlie McAvoy was going to be out of your lineup for a significant amount of time, and yet your team was going to be one of the top transitioners out of their own zone of the puck, I call you a liar. Looking at the fact that the forward grouping was undergoing a bit of a change. I mean, so Krejci comes in, and you have to ask yourself, age-wise, coming back from Europe, playing in a larger ice surface, how long is it going to take him to adapt? I mean, seamless. Him and Pasternak have been absolutely great. Marchand not being there and this team still being quite potent is utterly amazing. But the big question, too, is so DeBrusk's gotten a second life now. Cassidy moves on. You ask yourself, how is he going to react to this? It's been absolutely invigorating for a guy who's been basically waited upon. Like, the team has been waiting. We all know he has a skill. He just has not delivered, and he's been outright effective for this team where they've really needed it. So I think Boston has been my surprise in the East right now.
You know, it's funny, Aaron. The Boston Bruins say that they're going to take a load management approach with Brad Marchand, meaning he's not going to play in back-to-back games this season. Obviously, the hip surgery and, his recovery was very, very quick from it. Do you think that we're going to start seeing that more with superstars as they get older in the National Hockey League, or is it going to be a little bit different?
I think every league evolves. I think we're a little behind the NBA. If you think about Kawhi Leonard, who was the Raptors, and they started to do that, and I think most people in hockey were thinking that's soft. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, we were only entering into the phase of whether a guy could miss an optional practice. About the time I retired in 2010 is when teams started to look at maybe time on ice during a game or time on ice during the course of a week, and they started mandating the guys had to stay away from the rink. But now to put them in, pull them out for actual games, knowing that an 82-game season, those games are very, very valuable, and based on standings, you can come down to a point or two. It's risky, but again, bottom line is you don't get a big trophy for winning the regular season. It's just the Stanley Cup you want, and hopefully they're fresh enough and capable and physically ready to play for the playoffs. So I understand it now.
Yeah, I'd say it's easier, too, if you're doing well, right? If your team's struggling or, the coach is feeling some heat, it's a hell of a lot easier to put them back in the lineup than it is when you're dominating guys to the extent that they are and with results that look sustainable.
Aaron, you helped me with the perfect segue. You mentioned the Stanley Cup is what you want, and this team currently, has the title in the Colorado Avalanche. And Shane, when you look at the Avalanche team, there really doesn't look like much of a hangover right now, does there?
Yeah, you talk about another team that really has picked up where they left off. I think the additions of Rodriguez on, frankly, what's a ridiculous contract in the offseason, and Nikushkin, re-signing have really lengthened this lineup. And I think there would have been questions if Landeskog, who's out for 12 weeks here, was unavailable without those guys. But you can move them now up in the lineup, and they're both very capable top 6 players. My one concern is now, that third, fourth line, how are they going to do? The early results have been pretty traumatic to look at them, under 50%, way under 50% possession, way under 50% expected goals, really struggling to get the puck out of their zone. So we'll see if that top 6 group can kind of mask some of the deficiencies at the back of the forward group now. So that would be my one question.
So I'm with Shane that up front, clearly Nichushkin playing to the level he is in light of the fact Landeskog is out is a pleasant surprise. The Rodriguez acquisition I kind of like because sometimes a guy can fit the environment. And to me, Rodriguez is surrounded by some skill guys, a system that works well for him. And I think there's an opportunity for him to flourish. And he's presented himself quite well so far. I think the reason why you're not concerned about the third or fourth line long-term for this team is because of what you have there on D. I mean, listen, Cale Makar, all world. We don't have to sing his praises. I think it's been done enough. Taves as his complement piece, I mean, he is outstanding too. But the overall D core can mask for some big problems defensively, can also add massively in an offensive end where you're maybe lacking some of that continuity and depth up front. Makar lugging the mail, Byram lugging the mail. These guys on other teams are 1As. They're top. I mean, their second pairing of third and fourth defensemen are basically top pairings in other teams. Georgiev, for me, is an upgrade. And I think that's where I'm satisfied and feel almost content with the fact that this team can survive the adversity. Kemper, for me, was not always settling when he was back there in net. Georgiev, and the way he competed against his past team, and just the fact that he's young and possesses the abilities that he does, I think it's actually settling for a team. In light of the adversity they're confronted with now, I think you look back there and do you feel far more comfortable that someone might be able to steal a game when you're needing it.
All right, guys, thank you very much. It's the Boston Bruins and the Colorado Avalanche, 2 teams that will be looking to contend for the Stanley Cup when it's all said and done at the end of the season.